international chambers of commerce and industry who are seated here, 113 African chambers of commerce and industry, 48 foreign international corporates who are not present here in Kenya currently, the KNCCI Gold and Patron members, various excellencies of the diplomatic corps. This extraordinary convergence of public and private sectors across the 5 continents demonstrates the pivotal role of this global summit here in Africa. We have people from all the 5 continents, from Australia to Bolivia, from Benin here in Africa to United States of America, North America, from Kenya to Turkey, where the chairman comes from. Basically, the world is here today. This is actually the business Olympics in terms of congregation. Chambers of commerce have stood pillars of business for centuries. Since the first movement that started in France, and Philippe comes from France 500 years ago, and the Kenya National Chambers of Commerce that we started 60 years ago, it provides a big opportunity for Africa to implement the African Free Continental Trade Area that no other institution can be able to bridge between the policy and the practical implementation of the aspirations of intra-African trade. Our strength as Chambers of Commerce lies in 3 unique attributes. Firstly, our representation is breadth from micro, small, medium enterprises to multinational companies that embody authentic voice, diverse business communities. Secondly, our institution permanence. While governments change, Chambers of Commerce, our relationships transcend political cycles, providing stability and long-term economic integration, as shown that the Chamber has existed for the last 5 centuries. The third practical expertise of the Chambers of Commerce translate policy frameworks into business realities, creating trust mechanisms and information flows that enable cross-border trade to flourish. Each chamber in this room today represents thousands of businesses eager to participate in Africa's economic transformation in the 21st century. Together, we form an implementation network that no other institution can match. This summit presents 4 goals today. We want to boost inter-African trade from 16% to 68% that we see in Europe, North America, and Asia. And the aspirations of FCFTA to reach 52% by 2030, the Chambers of Commerce, especially the African Chambers of Commerce here today, and there are 22 of them, presidents, that we shall be able to utilize this 2-day conference to be able to chart the way forward for African businesses. The second is to dismantle non-tariff barriers, Your Excellency, that cost $14 billion annually here in Africa. And third is to accelerate digital transformation. And as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, we have the Center of Entrepreneurship, and we are in the process of digitizing 750,000 businesses across 12 countries in the Great Lakes region, where I'm the chairman of the private sector in this region. We also want to empower women and small and micro enterprises and promote inclusive trade and economic activities within the youth and the women. We know that Africa faces a big challenge. There is a financing gap of $100 billion annually. While governments build fiscal infrastructure, as Chambers of Commerce, Your Excellency, is that we want to form trusted networks enabling trade despite physical limitations that we currently have in terms of logistics in Africa. Second is to provide business intelligent information so that the SMEs and the medium enterprises can be able to trade across Africa and across the globe. And definitely the last one is dispute resolution mechanisms, which International Chambers of Commerce is known to be the best body to be able to solve any trade disputes. Full implementation could increase FDI by 159% of African Free Continental Trade Area and drive business to business spending to 4.2 trillion by 2030. That is approximately 130% of Africa's GDP. Each $1 million investment in manufacturing in Africa would create 170 jobs, as opposed to only 10 that we do export raw materials and extractives here in Africa. And we have a big discussion on financing of SMEs here in Africa. Back home here, the Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry has utilized a global network to be able to increase opportunities for Kenyan businesses. Your Excellency, we have opened in the last of 18 months 2 offices with our friends from Dubai Chamber. We have a liaison office there, and also from CCPIT China, we have opened an office. And in the last 18 months, we've been able to facilitate new trade worth $15 million US. So this is the opportunity that this global movement of chambers of commerce provides. The trade support institutional chambers collect invaluable ground-level data on policy impact. Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Trade and Intelligence Unit provides operational insights that transform advocacy for hearsay to evidence-based practical steps. We, as the African chambers today, is that in the end of the 2 is to propose at the African Chamber of Commerce and Industry that we propose a permanent seat of the Chambers of Commerce at the African Union and institutional representation in the African Continental Trade Area. And I hope, Your Excellency, when you meet your peers at African Union, this is what we are going to present during your next meeting. Distinguished delegates, we stand at the inflection of African point for economic transformation for the future. Let the chambers be the catalyst that turn integration policy into commercial prosperity. I thank you for your participation and commit to transform these discussions into tangible actions for the continental prosperity. Thank you very much. Welcome to Kenya.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eric Ruto. Next, Your Excellency, allow me to now call Mr. Felipe Varin, Chairperson of International Chamber of Commerce, to come and make his remarks. Let's give him a clap as he's coming forward. Welcome, sir.
Your Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellencies, Ministers, dignitaries from the Republic of Kenya, Republic of Madagascar, Republic of Mauritius, Chair of the ICC World Chambers Federations, dear Rifat, Secretary General of International Chamber of Commerce, dear John, Excellencies, friends, thank you for your hospitality and for hosting us today in Nairobi. And I'm happy that the World Chambers Federation Regional Summit for Africa takes place here today. The fact that the inaugural edition of the African Gathering of our Global Chambers movement takes place here in Nairobi is, without doubt, a great testament of the key role that Kenya plays in regional and global value chains. And I would like to echo the remarks by our Secretary General, John Denton, previously with you, President, and extends particular word of gratitude to the individuals who have greatly contributed to the success of this event. First, to Dr. Eric Ruto, President, and to Mustafa Ramadan, Vice President of the Kenyan National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Their teams have been very instrumental in bringing this system together today in Nairobi. Second, to the great members of the ICC, members of the ICC Executive Board, which I had the pleasure to chair, your commitment to making this summit a resounding success was particularly appreciated. A big shout out to Omolara Ololade Akani from Nigeria, to Patricia Zolantima from Democratic Republic of Congo, to Patrick Obatz from Kenya, and Mark Novitz from South Africa. As you know, today's gathering comes at a crucial moment for the global economy, characterized by mounting geopolitical tensions, fears of economic recession, fragmenting international trade, and so on. As our Secretary General has said, countries around the world, including African ones, are currently being hit by what the US has called the reciprocal tariffs, announced last week as part of the so-called Liberation Day. From my side, I hesitate on Liberation Day, right? Perhaps Inflation Day, Global Recession Day, don't know. You will choose. At ICC, we are obviously concerned by the increase in protectionism and the erosion of multilateral cooperation in trade. These phenomena, if they were to intensify, would have severe, long-term negative consequences, particularly for countries that do not currently enjoy a high level of integration into global value chains. And we have released recently a study that shows that a full breakdown of the rule-based multilateral trade system with WTO would result overnight in a 33% drop in developing countries' merchandise trade, 33%, a permanent GDP loss of 5%. And for some sub-Saharan African countries, the consequences of a system collapse would be also dire, to even contemplate with export reduction by more than 42%. But against this backdrop, we see an opportunity for Africa to play an important leadership role in revitalizing global trading system. And we are discussing with you, President, before this meeting, to the benefit of the continent and the world at large. In fact, with over 1.5 billion people as of the end of last year, the African continent has the second largest population globally, a young population, presenting substantial consumer base for various industries. Nigeria with 230 million people, Ethiopia with more 120, Kenya plays the lion's share of the African population base. And the combined GDP is approximately $2.8 trillion in 2024. In addition, the rapid urbanization in Africa creates opportunity for business in urban areas, in consumer areas, infrastructures, developments. And similarly, and you know I've been very personally involved in it, on the critical raw materials. Africa-rich natural resources, including these critical materials, contribute significantly to several economies in the continent and can definitely attract much more foreign investments. But to fully realize Africa's potential, greater efforts need to be undertaken. On the one side, to increase regional trade integration. On the other side, to foster companies' participation, African companies' participation in global value chains, particularly SMEs. So on the first front, intra-regional trade in Africa, it remains the lowest among the world today. So this partially owes to the fact that Africa has very intra-regional non-tariff barriers, such as, you know, red tape, custom clearance, procedures, and these barriers produce effects in terms of unrealized trade and economic growth potential that are similar to those of the tariffs imposed by external players to African countries. And in this context, the initiatives like the African Continental Free Trade Area, they appear to be very promising. This FTA has the potential to create the largest free trade area in the world in terms of number of participating countries. And moreover, the estimates show that by 2035, implementation of this FTA could contribute to lifting 30 million people from extreme poverty and 68 million people from moderate poverty across Africa. So ICC stands ready to continue to contribute to support African countries, individually and collectively through these trade agreements, with advanced trade facilitation. This includes the ICC co-led Global Alliance for Trade Facilitation, through which nearly 20 projects have been so far conducted in Africa with the aim of streamlining cross-border trade procedures, for instance. They also include the Digital Standard Initiatives, which is about digitalizing trade of goods. We have today $17 trillion globally. And this is a very important element for the SMEs to access global value chains. But also more traditionally in our certificates of origins, at the time where the local content becomes increasingly important in free trade agreements, they are likely to facilitate the cross-border trade. So this is one area. The second front, which is the full potential of increasing SMEs' access to international value chains. This is particularly key amidst ongoing international trade dynamics, as you know, with some markets like the United States becoming increasingly harder to access in the face of sweeping tariffs. But just have in mind that the imports to the US are only 13% of global imports in the world. So there is remaining place for 87%. And there are promising markets for African exports. And for ICC, we have put in place a comprehensive tool called the one-click platform. I will not make the demonstration now, but it allows every SMEs everywhere in the world to access to the contents of knowledge of ICC in a pretty friendly way, and it will be even more friendly next year with development of AI. This will allow SMEs to have seamless access to the full suite of ICC products. Moreover, we are ready to disseminate ICC expertise and knowledge to build the export capability of SMEs in partnership with the 4 African chambers that are affiliated to the ICC Center of Entrepreneurship in Ghana, Morocco, Kenya, and Nigeria. We have already trained African SMEs on effective ways to trade internationally. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to conclude. ICC is firmly committed to working with individual African countries and Pan-African organizations to ensure that the full potential of the continent can be fully realized, in line with the objectives set forth in the Agenda 2063, the continent's blueprints to sustainable development. We are particularly proud of our deepening collaboration with the African Union, its development arm, the New Partnership for Africa Development, and other regional organizations that promote the country's developments, such as the African Development Bank, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, and more. We are equally proud of our strong presence over the African continent, as testified by our currently 9 national committees, 52 chambers involved in our World Chambers Federations, among them the 4 chambers which are affiliated with the Center of Entrepreneurship, and 6 African nationals who sit on our executive boards. We stand ready to work with every single one of you to expand our footprints to the benefits of the continents and the world at large. And this in the fulfillment of the mission upon which ICC was established more than 100 years ago, that is to promote peace, prosperity, and opportunities for all through open trade and investment system. We are going through turbulent times. We have now to revitalize multilateralism. And this is in this way that ICC can work to bring together among the 87% of the countries which are not on the export to the US, 87%, and we will bring together a new way of thinking to the new multilateral trading system. Thank you very much, and thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Varin. Next, Your Excellency, I'd like to invite Mr. Rifat Hisarkoglu, who is the Chairperson, International Chamber of Commerce. Let's welcome him with a clap. Welcome, sir.
His Excellency, President of Kenya, William Ruto, Honorable Ministers, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us at the first WCF Africa Summit here in beautiful Nairobi. It's a great honor to be with leaders and business people from Africa and continent full of energy, hope and talent. I speak to you today not only as the chairman of the WCF, but also as someone who truly believes in the power of trade. Because I am a businessman. We are living in a time of big problems, but also big changes. I am full hope. We work together, we can make a difference. That's why timing of this summit is very important. Before I continue, I want to say thank you. A big thanks to the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry and its president, my friend, Dr. Eric, for organizing this event so well. I also thank my dear friends ICC President Philippe Warren and Secretary General John Dante for their hard work to enlarge our global chamber network. And of course, thank you to President Dr. William Ruto for being us today. Dear guests, let us start with a serious truth. Around the world, protectionism is rising. Not long ago, U.S. President started high tariffs called Liberalization Day tariffs. These taxes on imports have created new trade problems. China quickly answered with its own tariffs. Other big countries are also preparing to react. This has made the world more uncertain. Investment is slowing down. Trade is not growing. It is hard to say how much this will cost, but we know it will be very high. We cannot allow a future where countries build walls and tariffs and quotas. History has shown us this is dangerous. During the Great Depression, countries closed their markets, and it made things worse. We must not do the same again. So we will protect open trade. Who will defend free markets? The answer is we will. The business world, and especially Chamber of Commerce, must lead. We as the business people are the first to feel the harm of tariffs and bans. We are the ones who sell, buy and invest. Our success depends on free and fair rules. Also, welfare of our people depends on free trade. So we must speak up. For over 100 years, chambers of commerce have supported free trade. ICC and WCF represent 45 million businesses in over 170 countries. That is a strong voice. When we act together, we can help governments work with each other, not against each other. If governments build walls, we, the business world, will build bridges. We will keep trading, investing, and working together. We will keep our connections strong, even when politics try to break them. 100 years ago, after World War I, business leaders created the ICC. They wanted peace. They called themselves merchants of peace. Their motto was world peace through world trade. They knew that free trade helps not just business, but also peace. Today, we continue their mission. We are also merchants of peace. And now, in this difficult time, we must stay true to their goal. Dear African business community, Africa is at an important moment. There are both problems and opportunities. If protectionism grows, Africa could suffer. Today, Africa makes up less than 3% of world trade, even though 7% of world's people live here. Also, trade between African countries is still low. This shows us that Africa's trade power is not yet used fully. But Africa also has a great potential. This is a young continent. About 70% of people in sub-Saharan Africa is under 30. Millions of young people are ready to work and build. We see this in Nairobi. Kigali, Johannesburg. This energy is the key of Africa's future. What do those young people need? They need open markets and strong partnerships. They need a global trade system where a business in Kenya or Nigeria can export easily, find investment, and work with partners from other countries. That's why I support the African Continental Free Trade Area. It's a huge agreement that creates on one African market with 1.4 billion people and $3.4 trillion in total value. It's a bold and historic step. I call on African governments and chambers of commerce to make this agreement work faster. I also want to say how important Kenya is in this process. Kenya has a strong and growing economy. It's a leader in digital tools like mobile money. Kenya can show the way for other African countries. If Kenya invests in roads, trade links, the Northern Corridor, and supports its tech and manufacturing businesses, it can become a center of trade. It can connect Africa to the world, just like Turkey did in 1980s, 1990s. I encourage all African countries to work more together and join global trade talks. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, we face many global problems today, but I am still hopeful. I believe in what we can do together, business to business, country to country. The World Chamber Federation will keep connecting chambers across the world. We will help each other and share good ideas. Our next stop will be the 14th World Chambers Congress in Melbourne. Hope to see you there in September. Let us remember the old mission of the Merchants of Peace. They taught us trade builds trust. Business brings people together, and trade creates welfare for our people. We must keep this mission alive in today's world. My friends, let's protect open markets. Let's build bridges between people. This is our duty as chamber leaders. This is how we support peace through trade. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, allow me to invite the Governor of Nairobi County, His Excellency Johnson Sakaja, who will in turn invite the Cabinet Secretary for Ministry of Cooperatives. Tupigie makofi tafadhali. Welcome, Governor.
Your Excellency, President William Ruto, the speakers before me have, of course, laid out very elaborate protocols of those to recognize, so I associate with that. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, I am delighted to welcome you all to Nairobi and to be your host. On behalf of the people of Nairobi, welcome. Nairobi is truly honored to host the inaugural WCF Africa Summit 2025. And I am proud that you, Africa's leaders in business and policy, have chosen us, and for a matter of such moment, you're here to reflect with us on the continent's future. Karibuni and feel at home. I want to start by thinking about our beginnings, our policy and our hopes. As always, if we know where the journey began, we know better where it might end. We are at a moment, and I'm glad the chairman has just expressed some of the stark realities that we have. You know the statistics. In 1950, 22% of the world's population was in Europe. By 2050, there'll be 7%. But in the same 1950, Africa only had 7% of the global population.